Good morning and welcome to the inaugural episode of Beyond the Blackboard. I am your host Amrita Pillai, head girl of the Bishop's Co-ed School Kalyani Nagar, Pune. Today, I am truly honored to be joined by someone who has worn many hats at Bishop's, from a student to the principal, someone whose vision continues to shape the school's legacy. I'd like to welcome our principal, Mr. Ashley Eads. Sir, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
To begin with, let's talk about the Bishop's legacy. Sir, Bishop's Camp was established in the year 1864, followed by the establishment of the Kalyani Nagar branch in 2003. So Bishop's is not just a school, it is a legacy. Could you tell us a little bit about its history and how it has evolved over the years?
So the Bishop School camp was started in 1864. Children of officers that had remained back in India. Over the years, it's grown into 3 large institutions, now serving over 15,000 students. It has developed tremendously, especially in the last 20 years or so, and is one of the pride landmarks of the city of Pune.
So is there a lesser known story about the school that you wish more people would know?
So while the school does a lot of education, a lot of co-curricular development, one of the things that people should know about is the philanthropic structure that the school also follows. There's a lot of work that is done behind the scenes, reaching out to people in need, more so to students, to parents, and also to older members of staff. And that is something that people need to know about. We don't speak too much about it, but yes, that's something that we do.
So could you share a little more about how we at Bishop's involve students in such acts of service?
Well, one of the things that we do like students to do is get involved more than just contribute to a particular project. We get students to go visit, to do hands-on work with various projects that we take up. And I think that also brings into them a sense of what we'd like to develop in them, a sense of humanity and a sense of empathy towards everyone around.
So you've been an alumnus of the Bishop School Camp. What were your school days like? And now that you look back, what is your most cherished memory from your school days?
School was always fun. We made the best of what I had. The most cherished memories, I think, would be of us when we were in boarding school and the friendships that we created and bonded with over there.
In the second segment, we'd like to go beyond titles and responsibilities. We'd love to get to know the person behind our principal. Sir, your interests, your journey, and what truly drives you. Outside your professional responsibilities, what are some of your hobbies or interests? And if you had a completely free day, what would your ideal day look like?
Outside my professional responsibilities, a truly free day would include a lot of listening to music, probably going out on long drives, getting out of the city for a bit, spending time with my children, reading a little bit, but more catching up on news, catching up on snippets, or watching investigative series.
So you mentioned you're fond of reading. What is your favorite book of all time?
Would be the Jeffrey Archer series. I've always been very fond of his style of writing. 12 Red Herrings, I think, was a brilliant set of stories that he compiled.
All right, sir. So if we were to rewind your story, what specific moments or influences would you credit for shaping the path you chose today?
I wouldn't credit specific moments, but more people that played an important role in my becoming an educator. My mother to start with. And then, of course, various headmasters that I have served under, served alongside, principals that have led by example, people that I've looked up to and tried to emulate as much as I can.
So previously you were a teacher with Bishop's and now you are in the position of an administrator. Which role do you find more fulfilling and why?
While teaching has always been fun, administration has its own set of challenges. The most fulfilling role that I've ever had at Bishop's would have been my role as a headmaster. The connect that I had with students was much more than it is now. Of course, responsibilities being different, but I still think that's one of the most envious roles to have at Bishop's.
Over the years, Bishop's has grown and adapted with the changing times. So, on that note, what are some of the recent changes or innovations at Bishops that you're the most proud of?
I think we're most proud, and I'll say this of all three schools. I think we're most proud of the fact that we've been able to bring technology into the classrooms without any difficulties. Uh, Starting off with the year 2020, when we switched into a mode of virtual teaching, it was seamless transition for us. It took many hours of staying up late at night, trying to figure out how we would get education across. But that helped us a great deal in now bringing technology into the classrooms. Uh, we're a school that has every single classroom equipped with smart boards, enhancing the whole teaching learning experience for the children. I think that is what we're very proud of.
So, talking about the era of the pandemic, how exactly did you, as an administrator, manage to keep the school community bonded and together even in such challenging times?
Uh, wasn't a very difficult task to do actually, considering, like I said, we moved very seamlessly into online education. Uh, Beyond the education, what could we bring to our students? Uh, there were weekends we used to sit up late at night running debate clubs. You were part of that that whole project, and I think just getting together, listening to people, listening to each other, gave us a sense of belonging, gave us a sense of hope, uh, made everything much easier for us.
That's beautiful to hear, sir. So, the school is known for both its academic as well as co curricular excellence. But what values do you hope every student graduates with?
The one value that we would hope all students graduate with is the fact that they be true to themselves, knowing what their capabilities and potentials are, and maximizing that potential to do the best that they can.
All right, sir. So, as Bishop steps into its next chapter, what is your long term vision for the institution, especially in terms of its broader impact on society?
For any educationist, I think the larger picture would be to reach out to as many people as we can, uh, whether that involves setting up new institutions or institutions of higher education, is something that we should really think keenly about.
How do you handle high pressure situations, especially while leading a school with such a strong legacy? And what advice would you give to students who are navigating academic or personal challenges?
How do you how does anyone handle high pressure? There's various ways in which you handle high pressure situations. uh, I think the most important is to remain calm, uh, never to react but to respond to a situation. Though it's very difficult to do that, we try and manage to do that at times. uh, the most difficult time that we actually have is not dealing with children, it's dealing with adults, and that's where the challenge lies.
So, what do you think is the biggest misconception people have about school leadership or education today?
The greatest misconception that people have about education today is that the children come to school and should learn everything at school. That's not how it works. We spend probably 8 hours with a child per day. The other 16 hours are spent at home. So a lot of the values that a child learns are actually taught at home. We brush up on what we can. Uh, a lot of parents have expressed that the child learns everything at school. It's not that they learn everything at school. Most of it is learned at home and from what they see.
So, how can parents contribute in a better manner to shaping a child's life?
The first thing, as I said, is empathy. Uh, People should realize, put themselves into another person's position before passing judgment, uh, as is what people do nowadays. Uh, Realizing that there are people that have bad days, that have good days, understanding those nuances, and then making decisions.
So, in a world that is so focused on rankings and results, how do we at Bishop still retain the true essence of education?
Again, because we have the platform to give every child as much opportunity as possible, we're able to break that myth of rankings being the most important thing. Your scores are important, but they will never define who you are or what you will become.
So, how do you believe that we can integrate knowledge into various aspects of life rather than confining it to textbooks and classrooms?
So the very good thing about the new education policy is that it focuses on application-based learning, which is something we should have been doing for a long, long time. Unfortunately, we are so set in our ways of rote learning that the whole examination system that we currently have is based on what you memorize. Thankfully, that is now also changing face, and we look forward to students applying what they learn rather than just giving us what they've memorized.
So, on that note, what further changes do you envision coming up in the education system?
Very difficult to say so. Again, like I said, we're too rigid in our system of education, but skill development seems to be a big thing, and I think that is where we need to move towards. Uh, with the population that India has, everybody becomes a resource, and if we are able to develop those resources, we will be a resource-rich country.
So, you mentioned that since we have a lot of population in the country, it can often be resourceful. But at the same time, there's this debate that unemployment in India is mostly prevalent due to the extent of overpopulation in the country. So, what are your thoughts about this?
Again, when I speak about the population in India and skill-based development, uh, that is what we actually need to tap, the skill development, right? Automation has changed a lot of things in the world today. So a lot of jobs have become, or a lot of professions have become redundant because of automation. What people need to realize is they need to create a niche for themselves, uh, where they will be missed if they are not present. If we are able to identify and develop those skills, I think we'll be further ahead of where we are.
So there's often this debate among students that AI is making most of the jobs redundant, as you rightly mentioned. So on that note, what kind of skills do you think we as the upcoming generation must equip ourselves with in order to still stay relevant in the current job industry?
I think our soft skill development is a very key factor in the answer to that question. Uh, Again, like I said, empathy is something that we should develop in children, because once they understand what someone else is going through, we'll be better equipped to deal with different situations.
So would you prioritize degrees over skill sets? Because a lot of people in society still believe that it's more important to get a high-flying degree instead of working on your skill sets.
While I wouldn't prioritize a degree over a skill set, unfortunately, it is the standard requirement for a lot of professions. Uh, Again, the thought behind having a probable degree behind a profession is the fact that by a certain age, you have matured enough, to take decisions or to make decisions. And in your pursuit of those degrees, you have also achieved that level of age, uh, that maturity to deal with the situation.
So right now, as 12th graders, we are all at the stage where we're navigating our career choices. What would be your advice to someone who doesn't know what to do in life?
Follow your passion. If you're passionate about something, you'll never feel burdened by work.
So a lot of times people also mention that if your passion doesn't yield money, it's probably not the wisest decision to go behind that. What is your take on this?
Your passion may not yield money immediately, but because you're passionate about it, you'll never feel the loss of not having money.
All right, sir. Moving on to the next segment. In today's world, it is often said that our generation takes things for granted. So, what is your perspective on this? And how do you think that the youth can cultivate a sense of gratitude and responsibility?
Again, here, I think the parents have a major role to play in the perspective that children have. Uh, when children demand a lot of things, very often parents give in to them because we find that the easiest way possible. Uh, but there are times we have to learn to say no, and there are times that children have to learn to deal with rejection. And I think that's very important nowadays. Teaching people or teaching children to deal with rejection, rather than moving to extreme measures that they would want to take.
All right, sir. So, if there is one thing that you could change about the way the world functions right now, what would it be and why?
Like I say, we need to stop being very judgmental about people. That's the one thing I would want to change.
So, recently we shared with you our initiative to host our very first Junior College Fest. What was your initial reaction to the idea? And in what ways do you believe organizing such an event can benefit the students both personally and professionally?
The moment I heard about the fest, I thought it was a very exciting event that had been proposed. How it helps in developing students is one, more than anything else, is the teamwork that will come about through the fest. Bonding with each other, working to supplement each other's efforts, that makes a big difference in how you will shape yourselves.
We will now be moving on to the most exciting segment of our podcast, the rapid fire round. Sir, we have 20 short questions lined up for you, and we'd love for you to answer with the first thought that comes to mind. Question 1. One word that defines bishops.
Thorough,
One word to describe you.
fun-loving,
If your life was a book, what would the title be?
in one word,
Yeah. Or in, 2 to 3 words.
thrilling.
Okay. A quote that inspires you.
A,
A quote that inspires you.
a coach,
A quote. A quote.
a quote that inspires
Yeah.
me. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Do you prefer coffee or tea?
Coffee,
Okay. Are you an early riser or a night owl?
early riser,
Chalkboard or smartboard?
smartboard,
Mountains or beaches?
mountains.
What's your comfort food?
What's my?
Comfort food.
Burger King.
One place on your travel bucket list.
Mauritius.
A movie you've watched more than 5 times.
Never watched a movie more than 5 times.
Your favorite movie of all time.
Favorite movie of all time. Fever Pitch.
Okay. A book that you recommend every student must read.
A book that every student must read. Coral Island.
A habit that keeps you grounded.
Listening to music.
Okay. The most inspiring world leader.
I think the Dalai Lama.
Okay. One leadership quality you admire the most.
Patience.
One subject you found tough in school.
Mathematics.
Your favorite subject in school.
English.
If not an educator, you would be.
An aviator.
The best school event according to you.
Every school event is a good school event.
Your favorite one.
Favorite one. Sports Day.
All right. One thing students today have that you wish you had when you were growing up.
Smartboards.
Right. Sir, if you could leave one last message for the entire Bishop's family this Founders Day, what would it be?
Whatever you do with a purpose.
It's beautiful, sir. Sir, what was the thought and vision behind starting this podcast?
When we spoke about podcasts, I think it was last year, the first thought that came to mind was our ability to reach out to alumni at some point and get them to talk to us, to our current students, to ensure that we have a bond with our alumni. Also, they would be people who would be the best to guide current students on career paths, on things that they could look at achieving to get to where they want to be. That was the primary vision behind these podcasts.
Vedant. Sir, thank you once again for your time, insights, and guidance. To our listeners, thank you for joining us for our very first episode of Beyond the Blackboard. Stay tuned as we continue to share more stories and voices from across the Bishop's family. Until next time, take care, keep learning, and strive to go beyond the blackboard. Thank you for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe for more updates. Until next time, play our bishops, never let our colors fall.